Hello, I'm Mantastic and Fantastic, and today I'm going to be talking about which Monster Point card to buy in November 2017. So the reason why I'm including the date is because it will be basing off all the information we currently have on the Japan server as well as North America, Europe, to better make a decision as to which Monster Point card we should purchase or pursue. So the Monster Point currency system has basically been designed to help alleviate the frustration or the sadness that comes of rolling numerous duplicate monsters. If you can't inherit away 20 Tsubakis, well, you can obviously sell them for 15,000 Monster Points. So it can kind of at least somewhat cut down on the pain that you feel from rolling those duplicates. And this is an intelligent system because it allows everything to have at least some level of value, unlike before in the dark ages of Pad where I'd roll the rag machine and sell a 3-star. So while Monster Points are becoming more readily available with various rewards, rogue design farming, and even just lucratively rolling up various amounts of egg machines, they are still somewhat of a treasured commodity. You don't want to waste them on a purchase that's not going to help you out. So this article or guide will be kind of walking you through my thought process of the current state of affairs of all the various monster cards now, as well as the 2 to 3 months time in advance in Japan. So I keep alluding to Japan, and I did not even expand the article, but Japan, or the Japanese server, basically is 2 to 3 months ahead of us in terms of released content. So this is normally a frustrating aspect because we see all these new toys being released and we're like, I want to play with them now, but I have to wait impatiently. However, this can be to our advantage because we now can see into the future and we know what is going to be the meta shifts or changes 2 to 3 months ahead of time. So that means we can prepare ourselves, and we can prepare ourselves through either stocking up on Monster Points, getting those evolution materials ready, skill up materials, pluses, Tamadras, so on and so forth. So as soon as those things go live, we are ready to go right away. This is obviously advantageous to a more casual player because, generally speaking, those who are on the edge of endgame content, they're kind of ready to go regardless of what is sprung on them. But this is definitely beneficial to the masses. So with this foreknowledge in mind, we can make better recommendations and decisions purchasing now. So what is in the meta now? So meta, I believe, is an abbreviation for most efficient team available, or essentially metagaming, or what is very powerful and dominating at this exact point in time. So right now there are 2 distinct playstyles that are kind of dominating the pad scene. Combos / 7x6 and by combo teams. Now, both of these styles are able to achieve amazing levels of damage. They have other built-in mechanics that help them survive, or the fact that they can just blow things up so easily is an advantage in itself. So the first distinct playstyle is combos and 7x6. So combo leaders have always been revered as something that's very high skill, challenging to play, not necessarily easy for the average player. And this is definitely very true, especially if we go back in time many years before all the various awakenings and even 7x6 leaders. Now, on a 6x5 board, you have on average 7.5 combos, 7 to 8 every turn. Unless you get lucky, you might get 9, that sort of idea, but usually you have 7 or 8. So because of that built-in restriction as well as player skill issue, it's challenging to hit your maximum multiplier every turn, or impossible if Skyfalls don't cooperate. So time extents help alleviate the player skill issue, but we still don't have necessarily a board that's giving us 8 or 9 combos, and that is problematic. Now we have Diablos. So Diablos is perhaps the monster most responsible for some of the fastest levels of power creep jumping, because he gave a 7x6 board, which is incredibly powerful as it is, because you now have 12 additional orbs, potentially 4 more combos. So now those 8 combos or 9 combos become actually quite easy to achieve on a 7x6 board. So now all these combo-based leaders have greater consistency, but Diablos also has a very high multiplier on his own. 8.5 times is very healthy already, while granting the 7x6 board and damage reduction component. So now we have a leader who gives a 7x6 board, has a high multiplier themselves, has damage mitigation, and basically grants cards like Anubis their dream partner. And in fact, Anubis Diablos, or Anublos, or however you want to say it, is one of the more dominating meta teams at the moment because it combines high damage, damage mitigation, and a larger board, so you have unlimited combo potential, as well as somewhat alleviating the active skill clause for Anubis because you have a bigger board. You can hit 10 combos plus every single turn. So that is the first distinct playstyle. Diablos can obviously pair with a wide variety of leaders. It's just that Anubis Diablos tends to be the most successful. by combo teams. So, presently speaking, we have Yogg and Kami, and they're both rapidly scaling health conditional leaders who only have to match 2 combos in theory to deal damage. In the case of Yogg, it's 2 yellow. In the case of Kami, it's purple and green. So, with that in mind, you only have to make 2 combos to essentially blow things out of the water. Well, that is pretty impressive, and it may seem like it's very easy to do, but in actuality it's a lot harder because they have a health clause or a health conditional clause. So they have to be above 80% health to deal full damage, so you have to have active management through either active skills, vigilance against preemptives, either using shields, damage mitigations, or budgeting their active skills to heal you back up. So if you can overcome these shortcomings, you can deal lots of damage. But the thing is, unless you're comboing the whole board, you're statistically unlikely to have enough orbs for your next one. These leaders are played on 6x5 boards, so if you only make 2 combos, say 2 light, you remove 6 light orbs. How likely is 6 brand new light orbs going to fall down from 6 given orbs? You need to erase far more orbs to guarantee yourself 6 falling down. In fact, you really can't in theory. So it is a lot harder to play than it may sound, so you have to use active skills at the right moments. Kami's more consistent because replacing 3 green, 3 purple is much simpler by comparison. In addition to that, these 2 leader playstyles can easily make use of some of the stronger awakenings. They can utilize clumps of orbs for the box awakening. Most notably, Yogg has access to Pixel Cloud, Yuna, Tifa, Lightning. They have light pixel cards are incredibly strong, and Yogg has easy access to them. Amino is also another very powerful and popular leader at the moment, and again, they form blobs of light orbs, so obviously you can capitalize on the box awakenings as well. So now that we have these 2 distinct playstyles, what are the kind of stronger awakenings that help support these teams? So I like to call the follow-up attack, FUA, box awakening, and 7 combo awakening as the holy trinity of awakenings. And these awakenings essentially change your playstyle because they can distinctly alter the way you approach bosses, because with follow-up attack you can counter resolves, with box awakening you can counter damage voids, and 7 combos essentially means you're just basically comboing the board and you're dealing double damage if the card has one of those 7 combo awakenings. So they're amazing ways to add significant levels of power to your monster. However, killer awakenings are still powerful. They add 3 times damage against their respective typing, but killers tend to shine brightest when they can be stacked with the latents or even multiple killers from awakenings, because then the damage just ramps up super fast and you can deal amazing amounts of damage. And then with all that in mind, damage control is less important. We have Fujin style actives to negate any types of absorbs. We have follow-up attack for resolves, box for voids, and 7 combos obviously means you do more damage. But with these 3 types of counters, it's much less needed to have any form of damage control, because you can just smash your way through content. Just bring a high enough multiplier leader, have the right active skill or the right awakening, create the correct board, and you're going to blow things up. And this is partially a reason why Kusanagi Hime is starting to fall out of favor, because yes, she has perfect damage control, but the thing is, you're losing out on the fact that you could have a higher multiplier. You're losing out on the chance of Skyfalls to help you out, and that is problematic. Furthermore, Kusanagi Hime doesn't pair with Diablos as well, because Kusanagi Hime wants scaling damage control, and if you pair with Diablos, you have a bigger board, you kind of waste that, then you cap yourself in no Skyfalls. You can kind of see where it's going, so you just kind of want to hit very hard in this current day and age, and have the right awakenings and active skills to counter mechanics. So now, with all of these thoughts in mind, we want to try and find value in all the Monster Point cards. So I'm going to go through all the Monster Point cards individually, and then there'll be kind of a too long didn't read table at the end, just kind of summarizing very quickly how all the cards fit in and whether or not they're worth the purchase. So, one thing I do want to stress before I get into the detail is that everyone's monster box is unique to their own situation. Just because one card may be tremendously valuable for the average individual, if it doesn't have merit or value for yourself, you should not be purchasing it. It doesn't matter if XYZ is incredible. If you can't utilize them well, they are next to pointless for yourself. So obviously exercise your own levels of caution and thinking. So the first Monster Point cards I want to talk about are the original 5 Monster Point Dragons. So these ones came out first, and obviously the way Power Creep works in Gung Ho and Puzzle and Dragons is that they get spike up when they're released, they go down over time, they get a new evolution, come back up, and you kind of get the idea. It's like kind of this cyclic nature. So the Monster Point cards came out great, and then down, new evolutions, some are great, and then down, some found new value because of new teams. So right now we're kind of in a bit of a dip phase, so to speak, for the original 5 Monster Point cards, because their new evolutions have come out for some period of time. So the first is Shiva Dragon. So Shiva Dragon was once considered an amazing speed farming leader because they had, at the time, an amazing 25 times unconditional active leader skill. 25 times, that doesn't even register nowadays, unfortunately. Yes, he got bumped up to 36 times, but it's still 36 times. And then the thing is, Shiva Dragon came out before co-op, if I'm not mistaken. And co-op basically allowed many old farming speed leaders of the past to be kind of obliterated or obsolete because double lube, double buttoning, so much easier, so much damage, more consistency. Co-op is better to play than solo because of half stamina, easier dungeon overall. So Shiva Dragon just kind of lost their greatest niche. Furthermore, a lot of people, including myself, bought Shiva Dragon in the hopes of future ranking dungeons. I never got to actually use them in a ranking dungeon because there was a spell of 6 months or something where we didn't have a single ranking dungeon. So I just kind of wasted all that investment because it didn't turn out to be anything valuable because ranking dungeons have shifted now. Instead of making a couple of combos super fast, they're now about utilizing 7x6 boards and bi-color board changers. So Shiva Dragon's just in a terrible place right now. I don't recommend purchasing them in any way, shape, or form because you can't really use them as a sub. They have no sexy awakenings. Neptune Dragon kind of falls into the same problem as Shiva Dragon in that they're just kind of obsolete at this point in time. They never even really had a place in the meta. They were kind of cool. Yes, you can stack gigantic blobs of orbs for damage, but it's pretty low multiplier. It's higher now, but do you really need a Neptune Dragon? It's kind of like Krishna, but kind of not as good in a way. So why are we playing Neptune Dragon? All these questions. And the fact that Mary has come out and is kind of just amazing, kind of makes Neptune Dragon even more obsolete. We don't need a row-based leader who's vulnerable to binds that is stupidly orb hungry. Mary is far less orb hungry and deals amazing amounts of damage, has a better base active skill, less restrictive sub pool. Neptune Dragon just doesn't make sense and it's in a bad spot right now. Odin Dragon is the exact opposite. Odin Dragon was released at a low point. It was kind of like a meme if you bought Odin Dragon, and then he got this new evolution which just became amazing because he still has an amazing active skill. He's got the ability to clear awakening binds as well as monster binds. So having the most powerful bind clearing active is valuable for a lot of endgame content. I remember the most recent Hera Nyx challenge. I think it was level 5. It has 7 turns of awakening skill bind. So Odin Dragon clears all 7 turns away. Green Odin clears 5. So if you had a Green Odin, which most people did, you had to wait for 2 turns and pray you just didn't die in that time period. So Odin Dragon can definitely simplify your life from just his active skill. But the fact that he's also bind immune, great stats, as well as having a 7 combo awakening and bind clearing potential through a row allows him to basically have significant more viability than any other monster point card. And if you have a well-developed box, Odin Dragon is probably going to be the best monster point card for you to purchase because he can help round out a well-developed monster box. And I've actually bought Odin Dragon relatively recently, and I feel it's a great investment because I use my Blue Hunter teams, Anubis teams, any combo-based team, or really just any team in general can really use Odin Dragon well. Next is Raw Dragon. And Raw Dragon was once the best leader in the game when he debuted, went through a nice happy honeymoon phase, declined, and then new evolution back again to basically one of the strongest leaders in the game. And then we go back and down and decline, and now Raw Dragon's kind of in an awkward place. Raw Dragon can still clear content like Arena 3 and Colosseum, but they're going to struggle in the newer challenges because newer challenges or Cosmic Trinity have just too much health. And Raw Dragon, while having 144 times along with health and recovery multipliers, it's just not enough damage. It's 144 times, but it's sporadic and diluted damage. You have to match multiple colors, so you can't stack orb changers, and the multiplier isn't high enough like Anubis to just ignore the fact that you only have one colored match. So it's just in a problematic situation. Yes, his consistency is higher because you can match 4 out of 6 elements and scale up to your 6 of 6, but it's still problematic because your damage is diluted. His base active is quite weak, and that is a bit of a liability nowadays, especially the fact that it's quite a long cooldown. So you can still buy Raw Dragon and still take or gain value out of him, but the thing is, you have to make sure you have a good team for him. You want to make sure you have Dark Kali style active skills to actually utilize, otherwise you're going to have orb troll. And the thing is, you shouldn't be buying Raw Dragon if you're kind of already into endgame. If you're clearing Arena 3 and Colosseum already to a certain extent, Raw Dragon may not necessarily help you out. However, if you're just venturing into Arena 1 territory and you have a decently good Raw Dragon team, it can be worth the purchase, because the idea of a Monster Point card, in my opinion, is to springboard your level of progression. And if you're able to clear significantly more content with the purchase, it's probably worthwhile. So that is something to keep in mind. So Raw Dragon can be valuable if you have the right cards to support his team. And the same thing can be kind of said about Yami Dragon, except Yami Dragon, I feel, does not have as good leadership potential overall. It's more of a fast speed farming team. But the problem is, Yami Dragon is a 5-orb 1 enhanced leader. And 5-orb 1 enhanced teams matches 5 connected orbs, exactly 5, and one of them is enhanced. So your damage goes up with the more enhanced awakenings you have and the more enhanced orbs you connect in a match. But the problem is with 5-orb 1 enhanced leaders is that they are reasonably orb hungry. But the thing is, they're very vulnerable to orb changing mechanics from bosses. If they make jammers or poisons, you lose your enhancement status, and then you can't actually deal damage, and then that's a problem. You have to budget 2 actives to change the jammer poisons and to enhance at the same time. So that is a problematic scenario. Furthermore, if you're playing in 3-player co-op, you are never going to activate your leader skill unless everyone is playing the same style 5-orb 1 enhanced leader, or using a team with enough enhanced orb awakenings of the same color to guarantee your turn you actually have orbs for activation. I would not recommend Yami Dragon for 3-player Cosmic Trinity or any other 3-player content just because of that reason, unless there's coordination. So these are the problems that plague Yami Dragon, essentially. Like, there is damage, but not enough damage. You can speed farm, but co-oping of Liu Bei tends to be faster for speed farming. Sure, maybe Arena 1 speed farming is valuable, but again, do we really need a leader to farm Arena 1 a little bit faster? Probably not. And the thing is, that team kind of works in solo mode, so co-op is more stamina efficient. Like, it's just problematic overall. So it's hard to really justify Yami Dragon's usage at this point in time. Now, they are still a reasonable sub in their own right, but the thing is, unlike Odin Dragon, Yami Dragon's active skill is not as universally beneficial, and the fact that they don't have like 7 combo awakenings basically just means that they're not fulfilling as much damage as Odin Dragon. So, like, they're just in a lesser spot in terms of sub usage. Odin Dragon tends to win out in the vast majority of situations. Next, we go to Ragnar Dragon. So Ragnar Dragon was the 6th Monster Point card released. Doesn't fit in any category, so I just gave him his own category. So, Ragnar Dragon has a variant of a Dark Kali active skill in that you make a board of all 6 elements, so the 5 colors plus heal, which is great for rainbow-based teams. And some people even use the old Ragnar Dragon on the old Raw Dragon team because they need an extra board changer. However, as Raw Dragon evolved, Ragnar Dragon couldn't necessarily keep up because you don't get the health. You don't get any of the extra multipliers that Raw Dragon gives because Ragnar Dragon is not a god. So it became harder to use Ragnar Dragon nowadays. Now, you still can utilize Ragnar Dragon well on a variety of teams because the thing is, he has 2 killer awakenings. And with double killer awakenings, he's able to deal spectacular amounts of damage to god and dragon type encounters. And that is valuable on not just rainbow teams. You can stick him on combo-based teams to obliterate those spawns much more easily. You can stick him on rainbow teams. Obviously, you can stick him on mono-green teams. You get the idea. You can utilize Ragnar Dragon quite well as a sub because he has these double killer awakenings and a reasonably powerful active skill. So it can be valuable for the average player to purchase Ragnar Dragon if they think they can utilize these killer awakenings, because that is his main shining point. Or if you have a team like, say, Sharius Roots, who can truly capitalize on Ragnarok Dragon's typing, because that dragon typing now becomes an asset for Sharius Roots teams. So Ragnar Dragon is another Monster Point card I would recommend purchasing if you can actually utilize those killer awakenings effectively or efficiently. Next are the 4 gentlemen. So the 4 gentlemen have more girls than guys, I believe, possibly. Well, it's 50-50. But they're all very flowery and colorful, so I get confused. Traps are evolving. But these cards were released, and unfortunately most of them were kind of flop-ish by nature. Like, they were okay, except for Zhang Mei, who was actually very powerful at the time. But the thing is, when the Heartcross meta and Miru came out, they all just kind of dropped off the radar. Like, they became semi-useless. It's like, oh, okay, well, I don't have a value anymore. So that's problematic. So Ganho tries to remedy this, and in Japan they have received new evolutions, but the problem is they're still underwhelming and they still suffer the same problems that they did before. So Zhang Mei was at one point the top tier leader to own in the game. She was so strong, she could clear so much content so efficiently at the time, and she did have a very restrictive sub pool, and she did utilize duplicates of herself, so very few players could truly capitalize on her playstyle. But the problem is, as soon as the Heart Cross meta came out, she just kind of disappeared. Heart Crosses are just infinitely stronger than multiple Heart combo leaders. So Zhang Mei just dropped out, and people who invested 3, 6, or 900,000 monster points are a little sad. So in comes her new evolution, and her new evolution makes it so she only needs to match 2 sets of heart combos. So that's a significant increase in consistency. She gains a bit more damage, but the problem is she suffers from the same problems she always has. She still has the same restrictive subpool. She still needs to utilize duplicates of herself. Her damage is not even that great either, and she's vulnerable to binds. So why are we wanting to use Zhang Mei at this point in time? Nostalgia if you used her before, but it's not worth pursuing. You're basically throwing money at a problem that's already done. It's like putting up a flagpole on a condemned building. What's the point? It's already a lost cause. So I would not recommend Zhang Mei to any player at this point in time because of all those liabilities and drawbacks. And one other problem that we have started to see is that system teams are less efficient. System teams revolve cards with short cooldowns with haste, so you basically use an active skill every single turn to basically hasten up everyone else in order to keep using active skill every turn. So in a Zhang Mei system team, you basically have 4 Zhang Meis using 1 active skill every turn, and that cycles through them faster because you basically use those 4 actives every single turn, or 1 active per turn every turn, which is beneficial, of course. That also charges up 2 more active skills on your other subs significantly faster because they're getting hastened every time. But the problem with that system is that you only have 2 active skills that you can dedicate to countering dungeon mechanics. That worked beforehand when there was easier content like Arena 1, for instance, but when we encounter like things like Hera Nyx, we need like a bazillion different counters and combinations to get through the dungeon, and Zhang Mei will not be able to keep up. System teams will not be able to keep up, and that is problematic. So Zhang Mei is really not going to be efficient overall. And maybe I'm going over this a little quickly. You can obviously read this on my website, but too long didn't read. I wouldn't buy Zhang Mei because it's just not necessary. Maybe you can say that super follow-up attack gives you more flexibility, but road teams are still not dominant at this point in time. Yao Yu. Yao Yu had a very rough time on his debut because he competed with Sarasvati. Both of them were multiple water combo leaders, but Sarasvati ended up hitting harder because she could capitalize on Row Awakenings, unlike Yao Yu. So when they started reaching higher number of water orbs, Sarasvati pulled ahead. So why would people be purchasing a 300,000 monster point card when a 5-star Pantheon could achieve similar levels of leadership potential while also having much more sub value? Didn't really make sense. So that's the biggest problem Yao Yu had. A lack of consistency, being too glass cannon-y, and not even being the best at what he does at this point in time. Now, with his new evolution, he's gotten a little easier to use, but again, you're just a glass cannon. Like, do we need an average glass cannon? Yogg hits way harder with much more consistency and much less orb hungriness. So why would we want to use Yao Yu in this point in time? Like, it's not really accelerating ourselves because there's no defensive multiplier. Like, yes, he gained double 7 combo awakenings, but 2 7 combo awakenings are reasonably common nowadays. Like, we have cards like Scald, we have things like Yuna, there are Nohime, Tachibana. Like, they're getting more common. So, yes, Yao Yu has double 7 combo awakening, but so do a lot of other cards. So, is it really bringing value to your team, even to have it as a sub? Not really. Scald is a much more efficient card overall. She's got a follow-up attack and a better base active skill. And double 7 combo. Like, I'll use her over Yao Yu any day of the week. So Yao Yu, again, is a card I would not purchase. He's not providing value. Xiu Min is a pretty guy. I get that wrong sometimes. Anywho. Again, an awkward card. Like, they're pretty orb hungry. Yes, they have a 7x6 pairing of Tifa, but Tifa is still just as strong as she always was. Xiu Min got a little stronger, and Tifa Xiu Min was still not even that great of a team. So we're using the same Tifa with a slightly better Xiu Min. Still not a good team. It's even worse because power creep is accelerated. So Xiu Min's a card, I would not recommend buying. Does not much value for yourself. And Xinhua had very creepy hands in her first evolution, which is kind of strange. And then they got removed, thankfully, to give us a much more aesthetically pleasing artwork. So the artist who did her was probably paid lots of money because we're seeing her legs, her butt, her her boobs, and her face all in one go. So that's pretty amazing. But that's kind of all she has going for her. She's very pretty and physically attractive. We can't practically use her. She's kind of like Zhang Mei, but in a little worse. She's got a recovery multiplier, not a health multiplier. She's got a restrictive sub pool. She is a system-based team. Again, all these problems are coming back at her, and you can't really utilize her efficiently, but she's very pretty. Maybe you want a pretty girl in your box. That's why you play this game after all. Now we come to 750,000 monster points. So all the above options were 300,000 monster points, so that is still quite a large amount, but these cards are 750,000. So we need to think, are these cards going to provide me 2.5 times worth or value compared to their 300,000 cousins? That's something you have to decide whether or not it's worthwhile. Now, we have Dark Athena, and Dark Athena was the first card released for 750,000 monster points, and she was incredibly strong upon her debut. She was the top tier leader, she was fast, she was efficient, relatively easy to play, and very common. You could find friends of her easily with the right inherit. And she is a bi-combo leader in that you only have to match water and dark orbs to deal damage, but players are quickly starting to realize that 2-combo Dark Athena is not that great. You need a dark TPA for 1, but if you only match 2 combos, your 49 times is not going to really take off for enough damage. You need a combo. So she actually has a lot more high skill cap than you actually are led to believe, because, well, you need TPAs for 1, but you need to ideally hit those 7 combo awakenings that you have on all your Hakus. And you have to do this with minimal time extends. So it's kind of like an unusual skill cap. You have little time extend, but you want to hit those 7 combos. So you're doing potentially quite a bit of work. You can still get by a lot of content about 7 combos, but if you want to start pushing to hard things, you need those 7 combos. Now, in Arena 3, Dark Athena is so well poised because she does enough damage to sweep all the floors except for like the final Ragnar Dragon and the Callies. So that is important because you can basically mow your way through content very fast and very efficiently, and then dance appropriately with the Ragnar Dragons. However, she is falling out of favor in newer endgame content because her damage is just too low. 49 times is not going to really cut it. It's just not enough damage. Even if you can combo like a wizard, you're just not hitting hard enough. You can be like the best sharpshooter in the world, but you got a dinky little pistol. You only can do so much. That's kind of the logic you can kind of think of Dark Athena. However, that being said, Dark Athena could still easily clear so much content. Like, if you're struggling in Arena 1, maybe Arena 2, Dark Athena will make you blow up so fast if you have a good team for her. So it can be worth the purchase. You can gain tremendous value and viability out of her 750,000 monster points. Now, she also has... there's a full write-up that you can basically read here if you want a bit more information, but she's tanky, she's durable, she's also a great sub and a great inherit, and that's something that a lot of Monster Point cards aren't. She's probably the most well-rounded in that sense that you can use her in so many different ways. Red Nero basically attempts to revitalize the Heart Cross meta by providing a passive RCV component as well as 144 times attack multiplier when hitting 7 combos. So you want to Heart Cross and make combos for large amounts of damage. That's challenging to do on a 6x5 board, so we look to Diabolus to be her pairing. But unfortunately, Diabolus plus Red Miru is kind of like Diabolus plus anyone else. Like, you get a damage mitigation component, you have some damage as well at the same time, but why not just use Anubis? Why not use a more combo-oriented leader? Like, it's not providing enough value overall for Red Miru to truly shine. Like, it's just another pairing for Diabolus. And Diabolus makes everyone better, but could we not just use Anubis, Kusanagi Hime, Bastet, or other combo leaders like Yuna? Like, you get the idea. So Red Mirror can be valuable, but I strongly caution against really investing in it because it may not push you that far ahead compared to even other Pantheon cards. And finally, we come to Light Hera Dragon, and Light Hera Dragon is basically 750,000 monster points, but the worst of all of them. She's a 5/1 enhanced leader. She is vulnerable to many things. Like, it's just not worthwhile. Like, basically, it's an overpriced Yami Dragon, and it's not really accomplishing enough. You can pair with a Light Metatron. So if you have a Light Metatron, pair with a friend's Light Hera Dragon, and you get most of the benefits. You actually get recovery as well as health, so you kind of balance yourself out overall. Now we come to the too long didn't read chart. Basically, you can kind of scroll through here as to what's the best or not. I have to go very soon. But basically, Odin Dragon I feel is the strongest choice overall, and Ragnar Dragon and Dark Athena are the other two strong contenders. Red Mirror, Raw Dragon, Yomi Dragon, iffy. The rest I wouldn't even consider. So, hopefully this video provides you some inspiration on how you can utilize Monster One cards to your advantage. I wish you all the best of luck in your own pad adventures. Let me know what you have purchased and what you feel is the best rate of return in the comments below. Have a mantastic day, and happy puzzling.